if I were that PT, so the salary is 82 and they want to make 90.
I want to get 90. I want to get that bag.
I think it's fairly simple. You bring in the objective numbers. You use, see if you're able to run reports. If not, manually.
So steal this strategy. I love this is like where like Rory Sutherland comes along and he gives you an idea and you're like, that doesn't make any sense to my profession. But then like the cool part is it rattles around in your head. And then I call them idea parts. Other people, it's just like, let me get the essence of this, or what's the emotion of this? And then how do I do that? I was taught at an early age in my career, when you have an idea, when I would pitch things to my bosses when I was younger, they're like, that's not there, but put that in a file. Like, that's good. We don't have a place to put that, but that's good. That's some good ingredients there. Save that. I thought this was brilliant. Have you ever chained a coffee mug to a fence before? I had never done that, but Nescafe did this in a city in one day, and they essentially went completely analog in the digital world. Here's what they did. They pulled off a masterclass in physical and digital engagement. They went around the city and they took bike locks and red Nescafe mugs, and they bike locked the mugs to benches and railings and payphones. They got permission to do this, right? But it was obviously, this doesn't belong here. Kind of like what I was talking about with Dave the other day. The door hanger from hotels doesn't belong in an apartment. There's the juxtaposition. There's the purple cow. So they did this. So there's a bunch of mugs hanging all over the city, and I can touch the mug, but I can't get it without breaking it because there's a combination bike lock. And then there's a little tag with a QR code. So all you had to do was scan it, check in their location with, who am I with? Nescafe. So they get a little online buzz from a digital thing. And then up pops the combination, I've unlocked the mug. That alone would have been, hold on, that alone, I would have been like, no notes, like clap, clap. It goes further. That same day, I'm guessing it was a Saturday or a Sunday, right? Because you don't want people in a rush for the next part. There were little coffee carts. I bet you they just took people who normally sold coffee and said, we're going to slap this logo and we'll pay you for all your coffee for today. Now there are coffee carts around the city that are now all Nescafe red, same color as the mug. And if you have a mug, you come up and they give you the free coffee. They'll put the coffee in it. And hey, have a Nescafe. That alone would have been clap, clap, clap. Well done. They did not stop there because the campaign's name was Nescafe, bringing people together. So when you walked up to the cart, they gave you another mug and said, give this to anybody that you want, and we'll give you both coffee. So now you have the physical to online engagement. People are checking in. So people online are like, what is going on? Steve checked in with free coffee, and of course he's going to take a selfie with the mug. I solved the prize. There's a little bit of a scavenger hunt part of this. You've got the physical gift. I mean, I don't know. What's a mug cost if you buy them at scale? $4, $12? I don't know. The bike lock, I already looked online. Bike locks are $6. You can get them for $6, and you don't need the best lock. You want them to be broken into in this situation. And then you were hopefully already distributing coffee, or someone was distributing coffee in this. To me, I'm looking at this, and I'll say it in public. Dude, how do I steal some of this magic for CSM? If my audiences hire Jimmy to do whatever, this would be good. That I might have to price myself out of it because I'm going to get permission from a conference, the conference hall. You move a cardboard box in a conference hall and it's $10,000. So I don't know if I can do this, or do I go completely guerrilla? But anyway, I love this campaign.
Guerrilla.
I think I go guerrilla. But no notes for Nescafe. Like, wow, like they thought about it. And I bet you the CEO never touched this campaign, because if they did, they would have been like, what's the ROI? And I'm like, I don't know if you can measure ROI right off of this, but it's in there.
So Nestle and Nesquik already have brand recognition, so obviously it's easier for them to do this. Yeah. Also, as you're talking about the 3 steps of this sounds like a complex campaign. Like you described it easily, like simply, but in terms of executing it and actually implementing that type of a campaign, only big companies can do that, in my opinion. Like that's like multi-step, and like, yes, you get the cup of coffee and the QR code, and then you got to find the cart. And then once they find the cart, now they get the coffee and the genius, like warm feeling kind of layer of, here's another cup to give to a friend, but now the friend or colleague or whoever, like they have to come back here or find another coffee cart nearby in the city. It's a little complex to execute, in my opinion.
So here's how I thought about it at CSM. What if I went to Home Depot and I went into the hardware aisle and I got a bunch of different nuts and bolts. And I gave away nuts and bolts of different sizes and thread sizes and diameters. And I said, you get the prize, but you have to walk around and introduce yourself to someone. You have to say, hi, I'm Tony from Ohio. And then you I have a bolt, you have a nut, and you attempt to put them in there. And if it unlocks, you come and show me, both of you new friends come and show me. And I go, here's your beer. Like, so I was like, how do I still steal this? That would cost me $28 in nuts and bolts in the, aisle 7 of Home Depot or Lowe's. Could I do that? The question is, where are these people and how do I gain their attention? Like, it's an attention game at first. Like, so do I do this at a party? I stole the nuts and bolts idea. So I know this is going to shock you. No fraternities or sororities at the college I went to. St. Bonaventure University. It was too small. But if you had an off-campus house, it was like if you were lucky enough to get some, because there weren't a lot that were zoned, you could throw parties. Of course, legally. The statute of limitations 25 years ago. So, and if you were like the soccer team, you wanted to have a party, but you couldn't rent out a ball place because a lot of the people were under 21. So people would pay us to throw parties for them. So we were a venue. So they would come to us and we could have just said, have a party at our house. We'll get the kegs. No problem. What I did was I said, I'm going to throw your theme. So a nuts and bolts party was a thing. That was the thing we did. So the idea was you can drink from the keg until you unlock the nuts and bolts, then you can go to the bar and get the good stuff. So it was an upsell. That the team paid for the whole thing. But what it did was it forced guys to talk to girls. Actually, it forced girls to talk to guys. That was the idea there. So it was like, how do you force the interaction but make it feel not forced? So maybe, I don't know, maybe I could pull that off at CSM somehow.
Well, what are people going to CSM for? Like, huh?
Belonging. They want to meet people and be. It's a big party in a good way. I'm not knocking it. Yes, there's continuing education, but you can get it not better, but you can get it cheaper, faster at home. You're going because you want. Here's what I said. If I had to write copy for APTA and CSM, you want to see future versions of yourself everywhere, or past versions of yourself everywhere. You want to see where you are, and you want to meet people. If it's not about people, that's number one. You don't know how to do math, because flying to LA and paying $500, whatever it costs, and doing this and hotels, you don't understand unless it's primarily about people. It's got to be about people. It's why I go.
I feel like you go for very different reasons. I'm trying to think, like, why don't I go? I think because I don't have a need to fill.
Yes.
So like you said, there are people going because they have a need to fill. Now, is it because they're looking for their next employer? Is it because they're looking for the next thing they're going to bring into their clinic that's going to make their clinic more profitable or growth? Are they trying to grow a professional network? Are they trying to sell something to other people? Like, what is the reason?
Let me frame it again. It's not a party. It's a carnival. And there's something of value for everybody. Are you a rides person? No, I get nauseous. Okay, well, we have those, so we get some rides people to come. So in a little friend group, you got a rides person and a games person. Oh, I love the thing with the water and the balloon and the clown's head explodes. And then I love the hammer and the ding. Oh, no, I go for the food. I love fried this and fried that. Did you know they can fry an Oreo? Oh, my God. So there's something for not everyone, but a lot of the avatar. There's a lot of itches to be scratched, or scratches for your itch. But here's my problem with APTA. They try to sell it as CEUs, which it is. That's the ride person. But don't forget about the games person and let's just hang out person and the food person and the just being around person. I think they advertise it too heavily as get all your CEUs. And I'm like, I can MedBridge that for $300 and I could do it in my underpants and I like lazy. That can't be the reason for me. I get paid to go and get free. And I go to CEU things rarely. I'm like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Let's go. So I'm not everybody, but I'm one avatar. So I'm trying to capture the people. And then as soon as it's 5 o'clock, everybody's there for the same reason, which is let's hang out. Like that's what it is. Let's hang out. So I'm trying to capture a little bit of fun during that time.
It's like some people are there for the networking stuff. And the challenge is now your nuts and bolts idea is absolutely the conduit for potential serendipity, meaning people could find their next job. They could find their future manager or boss, or the bosses and managers could find their future candidates and team members and all that, and they could, help relocate therapists from this state to the other state or whatever. Your idea is satisfying that. The challenge is like, some people don't want to do that, or they don't want to have that engagement,
and they don't have to.
It takes a little extra.
Right.
Or they could watch.
Or they could just like, I want to be event adjacent. Like if there's a dance party, I'm against the wall. I do not dance. I don't mind being around dancers, but I'm not dancing. It's not going to happen. But I'm not going to run out of the room. So there's something there. Like parties. You would think, and if I don't hate dance. I mean, I kind of hate dancing. I don't hate when other people are dancing. I don't like to do it. So you would think, parties or weddings, Jimmy hates them. No, I love them. I just don't want to dance. So I find other things. I walk along the walls and talk to people as they come off the dance floor, all sweaty. I don't dislike it because of sweaty, by the way.
If you did the nuts and bolts thing, I think you would have to have it set up where like there's a necklace or something that has the nut or the bolt like on full display. So that's people good. With the nut and bolt can see each other. You don't just randomly walk up to strangers and be like, hey, do you have a nut? Do you have a bolt?
Want to see my nut? What? Don't say that. HR has said, do not say that.
Yeah. So people like us do things like this. I think it has to be visible. It has to be, outwardly available.
I like that. Cool. I could do that. I'll do that at a party. So I'll spend getting nuts and bolts through a TSA checkpoints. I'm going to have to buy them at a Home Depot in California because I don't know if that's going to, that'll fly. Excuse me, sir. Why do you have 78 nuts and bolts in your carry-on? Oh, it's for this game. They'd be like, over here to this other pat-down line.
That's going to be heavy. Yeah, you're going to have to get it shipped to the hotel or something.
Yeah. Do you want to say thanks to one of our new sponsors, Force Fun Fridays? Force Fun Fridays, the #1 corporate wellness program designed to distract staff from burnout with lukewarm bagels, team-building icebreakers, and interpretive trust falls. Includes a Spotify playlist your boss thinks is cool and a stress ball shaped like your CEO. Force Fun Fridays and pizza.
A stress ball shaped like your CEO.
Look at the guy.
Amazing.
Hey, look at this Captain Steve, the guy who I love the bingo card. Like,
although Force Fun Fridays, it's going to affect productivity because you can't be producing and being busy and performing if you got these Force Fun Friday parties.
It's true. Yeah.
David's comment that as soon as I saw Boeing, that's exactly what I thought he was going to say.
If you're, what is it? If you're flying Boeing, just tell me we're ready to make repairs in the air. Things are falling apart. I brought that some boat. I'll tell you guys. We've got, so I think we have a mailbag segment, right? And on ptpintcast.com, the bottom right, you can send an email or a voicemail. You can just hit record and it'll pipe me a little MP3. I've been going out into the wild. Do you know one of the wildest corners of the internet? It's been one of the wildest corners of the internet. I just discovered this, Reddit. And I just spent like an hour on Reddit and I was like, what are people talking about when their only goal is to interact with other people? So went through Reddit again. This week we found a PT ready to ask for advice from you if you were responding on Reddit, right? Ready to ask for their first raise. So asking for a raise, has $82K salary, no 401k. They have the highest productivity in the clinic. This is self-reported on Reddit. Want to ask for 90. They want to go up $8,000, and I want to tell them, divide that by 25 paychecks, and you want to ask for more, but keep going. What is your advice for the PT who's like, this is my first raise. I'm obviously still there after a year. According to my math and how I'm looking at schedules, I have the highest productivity in the clinic. I have 82 with no 401k. I want to ask for 90. What's your advice to the PT? How should they frame it? And then I'll ask follow-up questions about the clinic if they say what they're thinking. So where would you start with this?
Did they disclose what state? I'm just curious.
They did. I just don't have it in front of me. I'll look for it while you answer. I want to say it was out west somewhere.
Got it. Okay, so if I were that PT, so the salary is 82 and they want to make 90?
I want to get 90. I want to get that bag.
I think it's fairly simple. You bring in the objective numbers. You use, see if you're able to run reports, if not manually from the EMR, and see if you're able to get some numbers. You get the numbers, you practice it a little bit, you practice a little spiel. And I would say if I'm that person, say to the manager or the owner or whatever, like, hey, based off of my rough calculations. Of course, you can confirm this with the medical record if the therapist doesn't have access to the other therapist and can't run reports of the productivity of the other therapist. But from my rough numbers, it looks like I might be producing the most at this practice. And assuming that I am equally as good in terms of respecting team members and morale, and I'm not doing anything to sabotage team members or, make them look bad, or, there's no issue. Assuming this person is on good standing with all the other normal stuff, they're punctual and all the other, they're dressed appropriately, they're not coming in smelling like cigarettes or alcohol or anything crazy. Assuming that's all table stakes and all that, you say, hey, I'm looking at the figures and it seems like I am leading the team in terms of productivity and performance. What are your thoughts on that? Like, first of all, is that true? I just wanted to confirm that. You gotta get the owner or the manager or whatever talking. You just want to start with like questions. Then I think they'll get it. I think they'll understand, because at the end of the day, especially with in-network and Medicare and all that, with insurances, with capped payment and reimbursement, if this therapist is truly performing the most, seeing the most patients, billing the most units, all that, everything is legal and ethical, documentation is timely, and all the table stakes stuff, then yep, they have the most leverage. Because if they don't get what they want, if they don't get the 90K or whatever, they could absolutely easily bounce somewhere else and leave. So you could ask, consequence questions like, hey, like, what would happen to the practice if you happen to lose your top performing therapist? Like, if you didn't have that performance, like what, so like there's ways to flip it and ask questions as opposed to saying, I want this. But if you lay out the numbers, either way, you could lay out the numbers and say, like, I believe that my performance warrants more compensation. I'm delivering more value to the bottom line than other team members, respectfully. And you could go that way as well. It just depends. Like, do you want to go like questions based route and have them make it their decision to up your pay? You could also go directly. It's really going to depend on the therapist and the manager, business owner, decision maker around who's the decision maker for higher compensation. But I would love to hear what Tony thinks.
Yeah, it's you have to understand who the decision maker is, just like Dave said, and what are they really making their decision based on. There have been times throughout my 25 years of private practice ownership where I made a decision to pay someone more just because I didn't want the hassle of replacing them. They were the least productive. They were the least effective.
Yes.
They weren't the best therapist, but I just didn't have the capacity to replace them. So it would be worth the nearly 10% increase in pay. There were times where, I chose to pay somebody more just because they were the social person in the clinic. I'm not the social person. The other therapists weren't really the social, so you have to understand the motivation of the person who's going to make the decision. But like $9,000 or $8,000, it's not a big deal in the big scheme of things. But if you look at it on a percentage basis and the person making the decision is so used to 3% and nothing more, you're saying I want 8 or 9, 10%. There's no way they're going to say yes. You just have to understand what you're selling that person on this idea. You have to understand what they are willing to buy, what they need, what are their pain points. Sometimes it's productivity, but I find that it rarely is. I just don't see productivity, profitability being the deciding factor. The pain point is usually, I don't want to replace somebody. I don't want to go through interviews. It's going to cost me more than $8,000 to find somebody who's going to do your job. So that is what they're paying the $8,000 for.
I was on Reddit. Great answers, and you covered both bases. I was going to ask you now go from the clinic side, but you did that. Dave, I was on Reddit and found this one and thought of you. So I will let you go first. Second, I don't care. Okay. This is a student talking about their first clinical rotation. Very first rotation, and it's only been a week, and I am honestly so exhausted and burnt out already. I've been waking up super early for my 10 to 11 hour day, 4 days a week. So they're doing 4 10s. I got to be honest. Okay, I won't put any thoughts in.
Every nurse in the country doing it. Go ahead.
Got it. And I don't know how early super early is, but like, okay, so you're doing 10 to 11 hour days, 4 days a week. I've been getting 1 to 2 walk-in evals with little prep time.
Oh my God. You got to wake up early. I'm so sorry to hear that.
And seeing 7 to 8 patients. I'm like, I don't know how long or what time. We don't know the setting yet. I guess the only saving grace is I just have to run the exercises with them, but I also have to do the notes after.
Yeah.
The other CI has been super helpful on quizzing me and making me do manual stuff and taking measurements. So where's the question? I feel like I hit the ground running and trying to think about it, but I'm wondering, is this really all there is to clinical rotations? I know it's not the word. So I don't know. Are they mad they're not doing, I couldn't figure this out. Are they mad they're not doing enough or they're doing too much? So I call this one Goldilocks. Are we mad that you're being asked to get up too early and work too long and do too much? Because I got to be 7 to 8 patients a day. Are they spinal cord injury patients? Like, that's a lot. Are they not? Like, so you're leaving out a lot of information. And when you leave information out, I get to make stuff up.
The last 3 words of this post, the place is so fast paced, but treating 7 to 8 patients a day in 10 hours is more than one-on-one. That means you're having, 15 minutes in between patients or whatever for the documentation that they're saying that they have to do the notes after. I'm gonna try to be really nice, but from reading this, probably this is a person that never got punched in the face as a kid. They didn't work in hospitality. They never got their butt slapped. They never had resistance, challenges, adversity. That's what this sounds like. Because everyone else watching or listening in the physical therapy world, man, in an 8-hour day, there's some practices, some therapists that are routinely seeing 12 to 24 patients a day in 8 hours.
My other thing too is I'm waking up super early for my 10 to 11 hour day. I want to ask, is that 10 to 11 hours in the clinic, or are you counting when you open your eyes to when you get home? Is that your time too? So you got to be real. If they're doing 8-4s, I'm guessing it's 10 hours or 11 hours in clinic, which still, that's a work week. Like, we've all sort of looked around and said, 40? Are we good with 40? 40 feels okay. Let's do 40. All right, 40 is good. 8 times 5, 4 times 10, great.
This will be my parting shot because I got a bunch of people walking in.
Wait. You got walk-ins coming? What are you doing, Tony? We're in the clinic here. It sounds too fast-paced.
Listen, this has been my frustration is, we're using these subjective experiences and for some reason we think these are objective measures, Now you can compare this to a subjective pain report. You can compare this to other people talking about the mental cognitive load of something. I have no doubt this individual perceives this experience as hard, air quotes, hard, challenging, for them, 8 to whatever patients a day is tough. Yes, it is hard, but it's not necessarily objectively hard. It is subjectively hard. It is hard to you, not to other people. And just because it's hard to you, you put something out that this is the same frustration I get when somebody says houses are unaffordable. No, the house you want to buy is unaffordable and it's unaffordable to you. And so I don't know if this is social media that's making everybody has a voice, everybody has a platform. This complaint would never have surfaced if we didn't have access to so much information. I had always assumed this stuff would just eventually drown out. Like we would be flooded with it, but it's still persistent here. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if we need to bring pain science into like social media and, acknowledge, I understand you feel this way, but don't confuse your feelings with the reality of the world. But that's my parting shot, guys. I will catch up with you guys next time. Thanks for having me.
David, see you, Tony. David Round says we need to make a Prison Mike meme for Dave. I didn't know what Prison Mike was, and then I, of course, Googleized it, and kabam!
The Office. You don't watch The Office?
I did, but I don't remember Prison Mike. I mean, I guess I would now see is still like I remember.
It was a great episode. Also, I'm a little annoyed with David Rubin, D3, because on LinkedIn he was giving kudos to Jerry Durham about congratulations to the Niners for knocking off my Eagles So David Rubin, I love you, but I don't like that you're a Niners fan, or you were saying congrats to Jerry for the Niners beating my Eagles. I'm still bitter about it from 2 days ago or 3 days ago.
Yeah, I want to make sure we don't lose money by not mentioning one of the sponsors. So let's make sure we get this live read in for this sponsor, Suction X. Ask your PT if Suction X is right for you. Suction X is a breakthrough external decompression enhancement therapy using time-tested circular discoloration protocols to create the illusion of clinical progress. Side effects may include awkward bruises, unsolicited gym questions, cult-like devotion, spontaneous TikTok videos, and a temporary belief in ancient air vacuums. Suction X, because recovery should
Jimmy,
dramatic.
Jamie, I don't care what you say. Cupping feels amazing. It helps me. Sometimes I've used it with clients. I have cupping marks on my back right now. I love cupping.
Listen, I'm not saying don't love cupping. I'm saying take the money from Suction X. That's what we did.
All right. Parting shots. I do think we can loop back around in the future to talk more about physical product bundles or service bundles with patients, the way that we were talking about value meal for McDonald's, and how can there be, like, what would be the value meal for physical therapy? So every patient is different. That's a challenge. Every patient is different. Every condition is different. You know, some people are like, oh, I don't like TENS and electrical stimulation or modalities or whatever, or massage guns are useless. But people, like, we don't need to recreate the wheel. Like, people know what value meal means. So, like, if you went into a physical therapy office and it was like, here's literally, like, hey, we're ripping it off 100%. I want the value meal for your knee or your back or whatever. And it's a TENS unit and a foam roller and Suction X cupping or whatever it is.
You have temporary tattoos that look like cupping dots.
David Rubin, you're a Ravens. I think the Ravens got knocked. I think they got knocked out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. Perfect. All right. My parting shot would be understand what game you're playing. And don't hate the player, hate the game, or love the game, but understand the game. This, I feel like this came up several times. If that type of patient population and that speed and that work isn't for you, don't do it. I was in the clinic for 2 years. I knew I didn't want to be in a clinic during my clinical rotations. I knew it. Went to leave PT school. I was like, this isn't for me. This isn't too hard. This wasn't the hard I wanted to do. I didn't like it. I was like, like, I love ice cream, but this flavor ain't for me. So I went somewhere. I didn't bitch.
You also. You didn't go on social media. You didn't go on Reddit. You didn't go and flame the whole, like, industry. Yeah.
No, what I did was I talked to my roommates and I was like, do you like this? And they're like, we love it. And I was like, oh, this isn't for me. And there's nothing. And I felt bad about it. Like, I was like, what's wrong with me that I don't love this? And then they looked at me hosting a podcast as a PT student from my couch and they were like, that's weird. I'm like, dude, I love this. I learned so much. And look what happens when we do this. I'm like, oh, so my heart and your heart are different. And you not liking my heart is totally cool. If we all like the same stuff, there would be no jobs for that. Do you know what I mean? If there were no crazy enough people to walk into burning buildings, like, all the burning buildings would just burn to the ground. Like, we have to have people who like and are okay with different stuff. That's okay that you're that student. Choose your heart. If this ain't it, man, you signed up for the end. I want to be a PT and tell people I'm a PT and do this. And now you're doing it. And if those two things don't match, you will hate getting out of bed every day. I'm going to stand behind that. Choose your hard, right? Same thing with business, though. If you're like, well, I just want to do what I want to do and get paid as much money and the insurance company sucks. You're doing the same thing as that student. You're thinking about the thing that you signed up for. You signed a contract. They said, if you do A, we pay B. You do C, we pay D. And you're mad about it. That's okay. That ain't going to change it, though.
It's not going to change it. And, you know, you probably should have done more shadowing and more due diligence when you were younger before you actually went into the program, the Doctor of Physical Therapy program or whatever. So sorry to tell you, but it's your fault that if you didn't do enough due diligence or have advisors or help or whatever to say, hey, why don't you go shadow at the Concentra down the street? Then you would have been there. Then you could have talked to the therapist 4 or 5 years ago, whatever. And then you would have said, then maybe that's not right for me.
Well, so here's the problem. Here's one. I agree with 89% of what you're saying. Talking to therapists, if they like the job, if they think that doesn't work, you have to ask them, what do you like about it? Why do you like? Well, I see 8 to 10 patients a day, and they're like, that's fine. And you're like, oh God. Ugh. I get up at 5:30 because I live an hour away. And I don't want to do that. Good. Then you don't like the job. Somebody, I think it was Seth Godin or someone reframed it. They were like, you know how many people I hear just say, I want to quit my job. I want to open up a coffee shop. And the guy came in, and it's such a great way of framing it. Do you like spreadsheets and ordering things and making and paying for things and shipping things? Like, no. That's what the owner of a coffee shop does. They make sure there's cups and lids and coffee and danishes on site. You want to be a barista. You're like, I want to hang out and make coffee and talk to people and yuck it up all day. You want to be a barista, but you want to make coffee shop owner money. Everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to start doing gangster things.
Hey, it's Dave Kittle. Are you a healthcare business owner or physical therapy practice owner who is looking to figure out your succession plan or exit strategy? We might be able to help. And in fact, we may be interested in acquiring your practice. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. Shoot me an email at dave@conciergepainrelief.com. That's DAVE at CONCIERGE, painrelief.com. Or you can call me at any time, 646-781-8884.